Massachusetts Beer Review is back again with you guys. Now is a very classic, famous beer brand. This one is called Ballantine Ale. Ballantine Ale, they have these three little circles, and they have trademarked it, or registered it. And it says, purity, body, and flavor. That's their motto, and that's what they keep in mind with their beers. They say, America's largest selling ale. Now, I think there's a lot of different opinions of what this beer is called, or what style it is, but I'm going to call it blonde ale, because that is what is written on Beer Advocate for this style of this beer. Ballantine is quite a historic name in the American beer world. It was founded in 1800s, in 1840, by a Scottish immigrant, Peter Ballantine. At one point in time, they were the fourth largest brewer in the United States. Well, that was at its peak of its production. We're going to skip all the way with Ballantine's beer up until 1960. Now, I believe at that point in time, they got bought out by the Falstaff Brewing Company. And I'm looking at the information that I have out on the interwebs. Yep, they were going into a major decline and closing down a lot of their breweries, the Ballantine Company. So Falstaff Brewing, which is no longer around anymore, came about and acquired the brand. They owned the brand for a while after that, into the 80s and the 90s. They got bought out. Ballantine Beer here got bought out in 2005 by Pabst Brewing Company, which you know has has their brewing for most of their beers now done under the direction of Miller Brewing Company. The other beer that's really popularized by Ballantine, and they like to say that they were the first one to brew the style in America, was the Ballantine IPA. The Ballantine beer itself, which there's not a lot of information that can be, surprisingly, there's not a lot of information that can be found about the Ballantine beer itself, because I found that the BallantineBeer.com said it was 3.8% alcohol by volume, and Beer Advocate's telling me it's 4.85. BallantineAle.com says that it touts a alcohol level of 3.8% by volume. For all purposes of accommodating its hefty bitterness and aromatic hop flavor. The dry hopped with the Cascade hop variety. It supports a heavier mouth feel and more of a pronounced flavor. It's one of the smoothest ales. It's got an ale likeness, but they say it's not really an ale. Somebody tell me what really this is if they know. I'm going to go with, since it's Pabst Brewing Company, it's probably not even an ale. It's probably a lager. Well, I don't know if you can see that. Whatever that speck is that came off of the out of the can, off the top of the bottle, off the top of the glass. I don't know what they're doing in the filtration of this beer, but here's how that looks for the body. Extremely carbonated. It is slightly hazy. It's got that off-white head. And it's pretty thick. I still got more in the can. And it's just that golden yellow kind of appearance that an American lager has, with a little bit of a haze to it. Using a Miller Lite glass with the Celtics logo on it. And this one at the bottom has the Miller Lite logo, and it's etched, so it creates all this carbonation. So let's get a nose on the Ballantine Ale. You can tell that there is a hoppier presence to this beer. It's got a nice hop aroma and a light hop oilness in nose to it. It does have a fair amount of a grainy quality to it. It's very grassy in the grains. It does have a light breadiness, a light biscuity maltiness. So yeah, good grains, good biscuits, good malty background on the nose. Let's get a taste of some Ballantine Ale. Cheers, guys. What you get there is a combination between grassy grains and a good bite of bitterness. But again, this is not being considered a IPA. Ballantine has their own special IPA that was done, I guess, through my understanding, their IPA was done to a classic, to the classic way that they used to make their IPA in the 1800s. So this one's obviously a little different when it comes to its bitterness, but it's a lot more bitter than the Miller Lite or Pabst Blue Ribbon, for sure. It's very crisp, clean, and refreshing. I would actually say that this is on the lighter side of medium, but I would call this one towards the medium on the body. Anything else with the flavor that I can tell you guys before I give you the rating? It does create a very nice head, very soapy. I'm just detecting the upfront grassy grains and the bitterness, along with the biscuity malts, and maybe there's a light lemoniness going on in the background, but that is what I detect with Ballantine Ale. It's got a lot more character than a lot of the stuff that Miller makes, or that Pabst Blue Ribbon makes, that the Pabst Brewing Company makes, I should say. But you know what? This is not a bad, a tall boy of American beer. Classic beer brand, classic beer name. A lot of people out there that are way older than me remember this being a pretty predominant name in American beer. And I will tell you guys to go pick this up. This one is pretty good for American beers at American lager and light beer price range. This is gonna get I will give this a 3.75 out of 5. This is pretty good for what you're getting from the Pabst people, and probably brewed by Miller, so you're doing a good job with this one. Pabst and Miller, that is the Ballantine's Ale. Till next time, keep tasting those great beers. See you soon.